February 1st, 2021, 7:30 p.m. I call this meeting of the Design Review Board to order. I'm Mark Lusing, the board chair. I would like to confirm that all members and applicants are present and can hear. So when I call your name, please respond. Bob Dermody.
Here.
Nelson Hammer.
Here.
Steve Tanner.
Here.
And Deborah's not here. Okay. Also attending as our town staff person, Elise Lichman. And I could ask the applicants to make sure they can hear us and can respond. So the applicant for 33 Highland Avenue, Winters Home Service. Carol? Are you...
Yes, sorry. I had myself on mute.
Okay, that's okay. Thanks. So welcome to this open meeting of the Needham Design Review Board, which is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. The order allows public bodies to meet remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Needham Design Review Board is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, the DRB page, identifying how the public may join. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this board are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Accordingly, please be aware that people may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer unless the chair approves. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. I'd like to review the remote procedures for tonight's meeting. I will introduce each applicant on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will take comments or questions from DRB members. After the discussion, each vote will be by roll call. The building department now requires electronic submissions of all building permit applications. A copy of your application, stamped and noted for the type of approval that it receives, will be emailed to the applicant by the DRB support staff. That can then be attached to your building permit application. So we'll head to the first item on the agenda, which is 33 Highland Avenue, Winters Home Service. So you want to go ahead, Carol?
All right. So we were asked to make some adjustments and we got approval from the corporate to drop some of the colors so we could make Winters larger. We reduced the size for the plumbing, heating, or cooling. And we did ask if we're hoping to keep the drain cleaning on there because that's also a major part of their work that they do as well. So, you know, and we did make it a lot smaller, so it's not as big as an advertisement, but at least it kind of describes what they actually do more. And I did put, excuse me, all 3 signs that we are hoping to possibly get, if anything, possibly at least 2 out of the 3, because I had mentioned earlier in the previous meeting that the pylon sign that's out front may end up getting taken down because I guess they are widening the sidewalks and the road, I believe. And that, you know, may end up becoming an issue in regards to vehicles being able to see kind of. So I guess there was the landlord was saying that sign may actually come down at some point, but they're not 100% sure.
Okay. And so these are refacing existing cabinets?
All refacing existing cabinets except for that front pylon sign.
Right.
There's nothing there at this moment for the spot that we would be taking over.
Okay. So these, these are internally illuminated. The 2 building signs are internally illuminated, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. So we have questions or comments. Why don't we start with Steve Tanner?
Hi, Carol. I'm curious, is this one digital print or is this like green translucent fabric? I mean, vinyl with white cutout and a black inlay? We've had cases before where they just made one digital print. If you remember that three squares restaurant, how awful that sign looked. It was black and how washed out it looked.
Oh yeah, no, this one is gonna be, we were gonna cut the white out of the translucent green. The orange, we were probably gonna end up, we were gonna either print it, but I can actually get a translucent orange
Well,
if
that's
you
okay,
prefer.
as long as the background is
Yeah, no, it was gonna be a lot more
translucent film
solid, yeah, because it looks better,
and not a
when it's a
print.
solid color. Yeah, sorry.
Other than that, I have no objections.
Okay, Bob?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Carol. Are we looking at all the signs right now?
Yeah,
Okay, fine. Let's start with the one out on the pylon. You're still applying for that, correct? Whether or not it may go away?
Yeah, he
Okay.
was hoping because it's at least some advertisement that you can see a little bit easier, you know.
Um, just one thing that strikes me, is the Impress Nail and Spa sign still there? Do you know?
Yes, it is.
That appears to be a square block on the white background. Is it all possible to make yours a square to match that one and just fill in with your appropriate letters and things? I don't know if that'd work at the same size.
Oh, they were supposed to be the same size. Maybe the guys, when they were scaling it up, didn't do it correctly because I don't know why that looks. It's not that other sign isn't a full square. When I measured it, it did measure as 36,
okay.
36 high by 30 wides. But I can go back and double check the measurements
All right.
because
Well,
that's what I gave them. But
if-
yeah, we can
if-
match it so that way it looks equal and uniform.
that would be great. Yeah. And then it says on the sheet I'm looking at, which is on our PDF here, 36W by 30W. Is that actually one of them supposed to be height?
Yeah, the 36 is supposed to be high.
Fine, I thought so. Okay, fine, thanks. And then the others, I think I was at the last time you were in, so thanks for making the changes. I think it looks better. It's cleaner, and I think more in line with what we're trying to do around town. So thank you.
Okay, Nelson?
Uh, Two things. One, the products that you offer, the services that you offer are much smaller than they were last week, but I still think they're a little bit too big. And the color of the font is not darker or lighter than the background. I'd be curious. This may be a weird comment, but it might be difficult for somebody with color blindness to read that because they seem to be the same intensity of color. One isn't darker or lighter than the between the background and the lettering. Do any of my colleagues agree with that? I guess not.
Well, I
Give
think
us-
they're relying on the color change specifically to be the
Right.
identifier, but I understand what you're saying, that the tone level is pretty much the same,
Yes.
the intensity. So that's an issue. Those letters, Nelson, on the front sign are 4 inches high, a little over 4 inches.
That is really small, I guess. So
Okay.
if nobody else has an objection, I certainly don't.
Okay, so I think that's you took our suggestions and implemented them. I think that this is a sign, as Bob said, more in keeping with how we typically would like a sign to be. I think the sizes seem to work better. The reason I can, and Steve can confirm this for me, I believe that these signs are allowed, and we've allowed them in the past because the front sign's Highland Avenue, that side wall, that's actually a street. So we have approved those signs based on the fact that they're also on a street. And then we typically, for businesses that are recessed from the street view, if they want to propose a pylon sign, we've often, has been allowed and is allowed. So I think if we want to vote on these, all 3, we can do that tonight. I guess, so I'd like to do them one at a time, just because we've got 3 separate applications. And unfortunately, we have our lovely roll call voting system. So
That's fine.
we'll have to get through that. So I would accept a motion for sign, I'm going to call it sign number 1, which is the front
On Highland Ave.
on Highland Ave,
Yep.
to be approved as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Come to the vote. Bob Dermody,
Aye.
Nelson Hammer,
Aye.
Steve Tanner,
Aye.
and the chair approves. Secondly would be the sign number 2. Actually, I have a question on this one before we vote.
I have a question too.
Carol, why does the quantity say 2?
Exactly.
I'm not 100% sure. Why did the guys put 2? Because there's only 1. I think that was a
Okay.
typo. Nope, there's definitely only 1 sign. I can guarantee that.
Right, so I would I'd take a motion to approve the second sidewall sign as with the condition that it is only 1 sign.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, and we come to the vote. Bob Dermody,
Aye.
Nelson Hammer,
Aye.
Steve Tanner,
Aye.
and the chair approves. Okay, and then lastly, we have the pylon sign. I would take a motion to approve the pylon sign with the condition that it match the size of the existing nail and spa sign.
That sounds good. I would make that motion.
Second.
Okay, and we vote. Bob Dermody,
Aye.
Nelson Hammer,
Aye.
Steve Tanner,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, so we will mark these up, Carol, and get them back to you. But you're
Sounds good.
you're good to go with this. So we appreciate you working with us on it.
No problem. You know, I
Uh,
just get told what corporate, you know.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second item on the agenda is really more of a discussion amongst us. It was written up as having an attendee from Children's Hospital, but I really just wanted to say, I did get a preview last week with the building inspector of their proposed signage. They're going to have a couple on the building and then a ground sign at their entrance. And we sort of met to talk about procedures, like which ones they should apply for as of right sign, if they could, some things like that. We also had a discussion about any donor signage that they might consider and that we want to get that located and discussed. And they say they're not going to do that. So
We get that in writing?
they're doing it inside for the most part. So, but we
Okay.
can talk about it at the meeting. But I really wanted to say is that, I think Bob and I both agreed that in the end, the TripAdvisor sign was a little small on the building and the scale. So we haven't really modified our rules to account for these 5-story buildings and how we want to deal with it. And if they have multiple tenants, which we're going to see at the former PTC building, so I want everybody to sort of think about this sort of N-squared district and what we've been doing when we've done something. The Marriott next door to TripAdvisor has 2 signs. TripAdvisor just has the one, mostly because they have other signs down low. And Homewood Suites, is that what that was?
Yeah.
They have 2 signs. So we've sort of been allowing 2 signs, but we need to, again, we need to be careful about that. So I just kind of wanted to get people's thoughts, or at least get you thinking about what we're doing over there. And if we can at least have a strategy for ourselves that we can tell people when they come. We may not get it codified anytime soon, but and Steve has done a lot of work. He's worked in Waltham. He knows the rules there. That's to me the most similar sort of area to what we experience along 128 there.
What's
But
the
I don't
address,
know.
Mark? What part of the park is it in?
Which
The
one?
are we speaking of the hospital building?
Yes,
Which one is that again?
that's right next door to TripAdvisor
Okay.
on that empty lot to the left.
All right. I agree with what Mark is saying. So yeah, this is a good idea to have a chat. One comment I want to make about my comment about the TripAdvisor sign also relates to where it is on the building.
Yeah.
It's not on that front facade, as I recall. I think it's set back a hair.
It's on the
Mhm, yeah.
mechanical screen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the and I think that makes a difference. If it was just a straight up facade sheer with a, you know, a flat, you know, level top, and then there was a sign, I think it would look different. So like anything, it's a case by case, but
Yeah.
that's a very volumetric, it's a big boxy building. So yeah, I think that's something we have to consider. You know, I think the wayfinding is different in a place like that than in downtown Needham. You know, the sort of the identification. Hopefully we can keep most of these in that area to just a single name. I mean, I don't think you'd want, you know, drain cleaning up way up high on a 5-story building.
Yeah.
So that might help, that, you know, fewer words, but bigger letters kind of thing, you know, so in the end, it averages out in a way.
Yeah, we have the ability, because it's all a special permit, to deny alternatives, you know, but
Yeah.
we had a building this size that had 2 tenants in it. My inclination is, my sort of attitude is sort of like, we can probably handle 2 signs on these large buildings if they're, because they need one on that facade facing 128. But after that, sometimes either the backwards or to one side or the other, to some of the other streets, can be appropriate if the building's big enough. But after that, I'm inclined not to allow any others, and certainly not another name. You know, if there's two signs, one name, that's what the buildings get. Everything else can go on a monument sign. That's sort of my attitude. Now, we can enforce that informally at this point. It's not, you know, it's not in the bylaw, but a special permit's a special permit. We can deny it because those are the parameters we're working for, but it doesn't help people when they apply. So we will need to make some modifications. But that's kind of where I'm starting to settle after looking at things. I don't know about a maximum size. I'm sort of with you, Bob. We have to see how it looks on the building. But, you know, Steve's dealt with a variety of sizes. Certainly they could be bigger than, you know, they're all bigger than the 100 square foot thing that throws them into the special permit. But, and we've been generous in our reviews using our special permit powers. But we haven't had any objections. So far we're doing okay. But I think it's certainly better to be smaller than bigger. So maybe TripAdvisor was a little small, but I wouldn't want people saying it's too big. So
Yeah. And I agree with you too. I'd be wary of multiple company signs on a building. But you know, you can't predict what's going to go in there. But I think, you know, if you think of big buildings elsewhere, you know, maybe the owner of the building or the one big name client gets in there, but everybody else is on a pedestal.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's, you know, I think you were all, most of you are one or the other of the PTC, the old PTC buildings, when he first came in talking about the changes they were making. And we said, I don't want to go along Kendrick Street and see 4 different 32 square foot internally illuminated signs for every little business that's in there. Because that's what we get on that Bullfinch building that faces 128.
Although the PTC campus is 3 different buildings.
Yeah.
And it was kind of designed that way. But that's a different case.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay. I don't know. You have any thoughts, Steve?
Well, certainly what we're going to be presented at first will be like what they think is the largest sign they can possibly put up with, put on the building. And it's all a case by case interpretation. And we'll have a chance to see it and scale it, maybe see second revisions scale down, and then make a determination. I agree with you, like 2 signs, you know, on a building max, and the rest through wayfinding signs.
Yeah, I will say that I did tell, you know, the sign they put on, they tried to look at TripAdvisor as a example. And so they actually are a little bit smaller.
Good.
And I said, it looks good, but I said, what I'd like you to do is go and decide what your optimum sign choice would be, which is Steve's point. They might make it a little bigger. But I said I'd like to actually see it, and we could discuss it with them. So I was willing to see something a little bigger given the imagery that I saw, but we can, so they may or may not bring that in, but they had a sign that I think fit pretty well. I just don't want to err on the side of, yeah, maybe it should have been 15% bigger just to fit the facade a little better. But I think we can rely on all the board members to weigh in on that on the 20. I think they'll be in the 22nd is what they're trying to do.
One of the other issues, Mark, is that second hotel that went in, the Homewood Suites, I think, is
Yep.
it? Like, and well, granted, a lot of hotels are built this way, right? You have a double loaded quarter, it's a long rectangular building, and they put the sign on that narrow end.
Yep.
So that sign looks almost too big in some ways, right? Because of the space that it's in. But you put that on a different facade, it's going to look. So Steve's right. These are all case by case,
Okay.
and as much control as we can keep, the better. And I haven't ridden by there in a while. Maybe I'll take a ride through. We should, as a committee, know what's already out there. Like for Shark Ninja and for TripAdvisor, we should have some backup info.
Yeah, I would recommend if you have a moment, just loop through there and look at some of the other signage, especially on the 3 or 4 story buildings. And even back around the Shark Ninja building and that, see what they've done there, because it just gets a sense of what's there, and we can work on that. And I can get there's a new economic development person. I can see if they would work with me on developing a section about these large buildings so that we get some help for these people. I mean, so far they were all 1-tenant buildings, which makes it easy for us, but somebody somewhere over there is going to throw up a 5-story building and they're going to have somebody different on every floor. And I'd like to have some regulations in place that say one name up high, everybody else somewhere else. Okay, all right, that's good. So the last item is the minutes of January 11th, 2021. Any questions or comments on the minutes?
No.
Okay. Take a motion to approve the minutes of January 11th, 2021.
So
So move.
all right, I'll second it this time. We'll let Nellie.
Nelson can have his name first. There you go.
Just trying to keep you on your toes, Lisa.
So the vote, please. Bob Dermody,
Aye.
Nelson Hammer,
Aye.
Steve Tanner,
Aye.
and the chair approves.
And thank you for writing them up.
Yeah, Rana I had him like in a day last time. It was amazing, sort of.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, I
helps
don't
when
know.
it's
She
still-
must have had time on her hand, but she's been really busy. And anyway, Clay called just a minute ago because he lost audio and he wanted to know that the audio was still there. So when the video is put online for Rana, she'll actually hear it. And I said, yeah, I can hear it fine. He's like, well, maybe you could take some extra notes. I'm still taking notes. I just look up while I'm writing.
So Rana's going to listen to it and transcribe it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then I'll
That's
go
her
on record
job, but
saying
I
that
always
Rana's the
take-
best. See, now I've got it. Hi, Rana. Give her a little surprise.
That's funny. Yeah.
Don't
she'll
tell
love
her,
it.
though.
So, okay, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Why don't we let
Go ahead,
Steve
Bob.
do this one?
No, you guys go, you guys have it.
All
Go
right.
ahead, Bob.
I will move that we adjourn this meeting at the 7:54 mark.
Go ahead, Steve.
Second.
All right.
Okay, Bob Dermody,
Yes.
Nelson Hammer,
Yes.
Steve Tanner,
Aye.
and the chair is aye.
It's
So I
unanimous.
had a ZBA hearing